Welcome to Mindful Echoes, your go-to podcast channel for thought-provoking conversations, inspiring stories, and a journey into mindfulness and beyond. We're here to spark your curiosity, fuel your mind, and create meaningful connections one episode at a time. If you enjoy exploring ideas that echo in your mind long after the episode ends, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest podcasts. If you find value in today's content, show your support by clicking the like button and sharing this video with your friends and family. Let's grow this mindful community together. Now sit back, relax, and get ready to dive into Mindful Echoes, where every word resonates.
Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at, cracking open, I guess, Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction.
Oh, yeah, great book.
Yeah. So this is going to be like a crash course, I guess, in the psychology of attraction.
Yeah.
And with some historical examples that are so juicy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll wonder if they're even real.
Exactly. And we'll be unpacking like the different types of seducers,
Right.
the strategies that they use, and like the psychology behind why these techniques work.
Okay, so like Greene talks about this concept of like seduction as theater, right?
Right.
And he compares seducers to actors, crafting alluring personas and cultivating like mystery and intrigue. It just reminds me of Cleopatra. Like
Well,
she
yeah.
was the master of this, right?
Yeah.
She seduced both Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, like two of the most powerful men of their time.
Her brilliance lies in how she understood and played to the desires of these men.
Right.
She presented herself as this exotic, unconquerable queen.
Mm-hmm.
She indulged their fantasies and,
Their weaknesses.
their weaknesses, exactly, becoming this irresistible force.
It's like she was directing a play with them as the main characters, like completely under her spell.
Mm-hmm.
And we see this throughout history. I mean,
Yeah.
take Marilyn Monroe, for example. Like that iconic walk,
Yeah.
the blend of innocence and sexuality, it was all carefully crafted.
Absolutely.
Right.
Marilyn's walk, it wasn't an accident.
Right.
It was a performance designed to capture attention,
Yeah.
spark desire, launch her career.
Right.
A perfect example of using like a crafted persona
Right.
for seduction, even outside, the realm of romance.
Yeah.
Think about how brands use similar tactics
That's true.
to create a desirable image for their products.
It's mind-blowing how these techniques can be applied in so many different areas, right?
Oh.
So we see this idea crafting a seductive persona, but Greene takes it a step further, outlining 9 different types of seducers. I'm really curious about these archetypes. Like, where should we begin?
Let's start with the siren. Picture the mythical sirens, right?
Okay.
Who lured sailors to their deaths with their enchanting voices.
Yeah.
Sirens overflow with sexual energy, almost like a force of nature.
It's that raw magnetism that draws you in, even if you sense a hint of danger.
Yeah.
And history is full of these captivating sirens, right? But how does this translate to everyday life? Do we actually encounter sirens in our modern world?
Definitely. Think about like certain celebrities or influencers who cultivate an image of irresistible sexuality, and they use it to gain followers and influence.
Right.
They might not be intentionally leading people to their doom.
Right.
But the underlying principle is similar, using allure and charisma to captivate an audience.
Right.
Have you ever noticed this type of persona in, like, your social circles?
Now that you mention it, yeah, I can think of a few people who kind of fit that description.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting to consider how these archetypes, manifest in our everyday lives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. What about the rake?
Oh, the rake, okay.
What defines this type?
Rakes are driven by an insatiable desire for the opposite sex, and they make this desire seem contagious.
Okay.
They're charismatic, charming, a little dangerous even.
Yeah, okay.
Duc de Richelieu,
Mm-hmm.
an 18th century rake, he's a great example.
Okay.
He was known for his boldness and charm.
Yeah.
He even ended up in the Bastille because of his audacity.
So rakes are all about that exciting, risky energy. It makes me wonder, is there a fine line between a rake and someone who's just like a player?
That's a great question. The key difference might be in the intent.
Okay.
While both rakes and players seek out multiple partners,
Yeah.
the rake's approach is often more calculated
Okay.
and strategic.
Okay.
They understand the psychology of desire
Mm-hmm.
and use it to their advantage. A player might simply be going through the motions,
Right.
while a rake is orchestrating a seduction.
So a rake is more like a chess player, carefully planning their moves to achieve a specific outcome. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about the ideal lover. How do they differ from the other two?
The ideal lover, they approach seduction with an artist's touch.
Okay.
They have a heightened aesthetic sensibility that they apply to romance, creating a world of beauty and desire,
Yeah.
making their target feel like they stepped into a fairy tale.
It's like they're seducing the senses as much as the person.
Exactly. They appeal to their target's deepest fantasies
Yeah.
and romantic longings,
Right.
making them believe that they've finally found the love they've always dreamed of.
Yeah.
Think of Rudolph Valentino and his captivating tango scene in The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
His movements, delicate yet subtly menacing,
Yeah.
were a form of seduction.
That's such a vivid example, yeah. But how does this archetype, how does it play out in the real world?
Right.
Outside of, like, classic Hollywood.
Think about someone who meticulously plans romantic gestures,
Okay.
creating picture-perfect dates,
Yeah.
showering their partner with extravagant gifts,
Yeah.
and always saying the right things.
Yeah.
It's about creating an illusion of a perfect romance,
Yeah.
often playing on the target's desire for, like, a fairy tale ending.
It's all about creating a seductive fantasy.
Yes.
Okay, so we have sirens,
Mm-hmm.
rakes, and ideal lovers. Now tell me about the dandies.
Dandies are masters of ambiguity and allure.
Okay.
They blur the lines between masculinity and femininity, creating this captivating presence.
All right.
Think Beau Brummel with his legendary style and influence,
Yeah.
and Andy Warhol, who was always enigmatic and
Yeah.
played with his image.
So dandies are all about keeping people guessing,
Yeah.
creating that magnetic allure through their unpredictable persona.
Mm.
I wonder if this archetype is more prevalent today with the rise of like
Oh.
gender fluidity and self-expression through fashion.
That's a really insightful observation.
Yeah.
Dandies thrive on, like, challenging social norms and expectations, and that certainly resonates with our current cultural landscape.
Yeah,
It's fascinating to see how these archetypes evolve with the times.
absolutely. What about naturals?
Natural.
What makes them so captivating?
Naturals embody a childlike charm
Okay.
that disarms and attracts.
Right.
It's not like a calculated persona,
Right, yeah.
but genuine openness and playfulness.
Okay.
Think Charlie Chaplin's eternally youthful persona and how his innocence made him so endearing.
It's like they tap into that part of us
Yeah.
that longs for like simplicity and joy.
Mm.
So how does a natural approach seduction?
They might not even be consciously aware of their seductive power.
Right.
Their allure comes from their genuine warmth, their ability to make people feel comfortable and at ease. Think about that friend who can walk into a room
Right.
and instantly light it up with their energy.
Yeah.
That's the essence of the natural.
It's like they're a breath of fresh air. And Josephine Baker, with her infectious energy and self-reliance, even from a young age. Okay, these archetypes are already painting such a vivid picture of the
Yeah.
different faces of seduction.
I know.
But we still have a few more to go, right? Tell me about the coquettes.
Coquettes. Okay.
Yeah.
Coquettes are experts at keeping their targets off balance.
Okay.
They're masters of the push and pull, mixing warmth and coldness,
Yeah.
creating a constant sense of mystery and intrigue.
Ah, the classic game player. It makes you wonder, is this archetype more common in certain cultures or social settings?
That's an interesting question. It would be fascinating to explore how cultural norms influence the expression of these archetypes.
Right.
But to answer your question, coquettes thrive in environments where social interactions are governed by subtle cues and unspoken rules.
So a coquette might flourish in like a high society setting where appearances and social standing are paramount.
Yeah.
Do you have any historical examples of this archetype in action?
A classic example is Yang Kuifei, an 8th century Chinese coquette
Okay.
who kept the emperor enthralled with her unpredictable shifts between, like, affection and anger.
Oh, wow.
He was so captivated by her that his obsession ultimately contributed to the downfall of his kingdom.
Wow. Talk about a femme fatale.
I know.
It's incredible how a coquette can wield such power.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of power, what about charmers?
Oh, charmer?
What makes them so effective?
Charmers are experts at pleasing others. They disarm and seduce through flattery, attentiveness,
Okay.
and their mastery of, like, social graces.
Right.
That's all about making the other person feel good, special, and seen.
It sounds almost manipulative,
It can be.
but incredibly effective. Do you have any examples of famous charmers throughout history?
Think of Benjamin Disraeli and his charming letters to Queen Victoria.
Okay.
They were full of wit, flattery, and a subtle playfulness that rekindled her interest in politics and won her favor.
Okay.
He understood her need for validation
Right.
and intellectual stimulation and catered to those desires masterfully.
So charmers are like master conversationalists, able to create a connection and make the other person feel like the most important person in the room.
Yes, exactly.
What about the charismatics?
The charismatics.
How are they different?
Charismatics exude an aura of confidence
Yeah.
and magnetism that draws others to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're natural leaders who inspire almost fanatical devotion from their followers.
Right.
Elvis Presley,
Oh, yeah.
with his electrifying stage presence and the near hysteria he inspired, is a perfect example.
It's that almost supernatural ability to captivate and inspire that sets them apart. It's like they have this invisible force field of attraction.
Yeah.
And finally, the stars.
The stars.
What makes them so alluring?
Stars cultivate an air of mystery and elusiveness.
Oh.
They're larger-than-life figures, radiating a sense of unattainability that only increases their allure.
Yeah.
Marlene Dietrich, with her captivating style and aloofness, was a master of this.
It's that want what you can't have effect,
Yes.
right? The more elusive they are,
Yes.
the more desirable they become.
Exactly. And Dietrich's use of clothing to project this larger-than-life persona was a key part of her strategy.
These 9 archetypes are amazing.
I know, right?
It's like a crash course in human behavior and attraction.
Yeah.
But understanding the types is just the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Green also talks about the strategies that seducers use.
Yes.
So let's dive into some of those essential strategies.
Absolutely.
Okay.
One of the most important is targeting victims.
Okay.
Seducers don't just target anyone.
Right.
They carefully choose individuals who are susceptible to their particular charms.
Right.
For example, a rake might target someone who craves excitement and a touch of danger.
Okay.
While an ideal lover might focus on someone with a romantic nature who longs for, like, a fairy tale romance.
So it's like they're strategists, studying their targets and choosing the perfect approach.
Exactly.
And once they've chosen their target, what's next?
Well, next comes creating a need. Seducers know how to make their targets feel a lack, a void that only they can fill.
Oh, yeah.
They tap into insecurities and desires,
Right.
making the target feel incomplete without them.
So it's about creating a psychological dependency, making the target crave their presence.
Yeah.
Almost like a marketer, creating a need for a product we didn't even know we wanted.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Think of how advertisements make us feel inadequate without the latest gadget or fashion trend.
Right.
Seducers do something similar on a personal level.
Okay.
Casanova was a master at this.
Oh, yeah.
He would engineer situations to make women emotionally vulnerable and reliant on him.
Like he was setting the stage, creating the perfect emotional atmosphere for his seduction to take root.
Exactly.
It's amazing how calculated it all seems.
I know, right?
Okay.
And that leads us to the power of insinuation.
Okay.
Instead of, like, direct persuasion, seducers use subtle hints and suggestions to plant ideas in their target's minds.
Okay.
It's indirect,
Right.
but incredibly effective.
It's like planting a seed in their subconscious, letting it grow without them even realizing they're being influenced.
Exactly.
Can you give us an example of this?
Lord Byron, with his, like, dark, Byronic persona,
Right.
was a master of insinuation.
Okay.
He'd hint at transgressions and darkness,
Yeah.
fueling rumors about his life
Right.
and increasing his allure. It's like a brand hinting at, like, an exclusive experience or product.
Right.
It creates a sense of mystery and desire.
It makes people want to get closer, to uncover the truth.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see these strategies everywhere.
I know.
What other techniques do seducers use?
Another one is creating triangles.
Okay.
Seducers use the presence of rivals,
Okay.
real or imagined,
Right.
to inflame desire and possessiveness.
Okay.
They know competition is a powerful motivator.
It's like they're creating a game with the target as the prize.
Yes.
I can see how this plays out in, romantic situations, but how does it apply to other areas of life?
Think about the classic limited edition marketing strategy.
Oh, yeah.
By creating a sense of scarcity,
Right.
brands trigger our fear of missing out, making us more likely to buy.
Okay.
Seducers use a similar tactic,
Yeah.
making themselves appear more desirable by suggesting they're in high demand.
It's all about playing on our insecurities and desires.
Yeah.
What other strategies should we be aware of?
Mastering the art of regression is a fascinating one.
Okay.
Seducers can subtly make their targets regress to a childlike state,
Right.
making them feel vulnerable,
Okay.
suggestible,
Yeah.
and in need of protection.
Isn't that a bit manipulative?
It can be.
How can we distinguish, like, healthy nurturing from these manipulative regression tactics?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
It's about intent and awareness.
Right.
A healthy relationship involves, like, genuine care and support, whereas a seducer might use these tactics to gain control.
Okay.
They might act overly nurturing
Yeah.
and protective,
Right.
and subtly reminding the target of their childhood,
Right.
or even mirroring their behavior to create a sense of familiarity and comfort.
It's almost like they're rewiring their target's brain to see them as a source of comfort and safety.
Yeah.
It's scary how these techniques can be used to manipulate someone,
Yeah.
especially when they're feeling vulnerable.
And that's why awareness is so crucial.
Right.
By understanding these tactics,
Yeah.
you can spot them and protect yourself from falling prey to them.
Absolutely, yeah. What other strategies do seducers employ?
There's mixing pleasure with pain.
Okay.
Seducers understand the power of contrast.
Okay.
They use a mix of kindness and cruelty,
Right.
hot and cold,
Mm-hmm.
to keep their targets off balance
Yeah.
and emotionally engaged.
It's like a constant roller coaster of emotions. They keep you guessing and craving their approval. How do they put this into practice?
It could involve alternating between harsh criticism and effusive praise,
Okay.
creating a pattern of withdrawal
Right.
and attention.
Right.
Think about a boss who's unpredictable with their moods,
Yeah.
leaving you constantly striving for their approval.
It's almost like a form of conditioning, isn't it? Training the target to crave their attention.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if some people are more susceptible to this kind of manipulation than others.
That's an interesting question, and one that psychologists have explored.
Right.
Some individuals might have personality traits
Right.
that make them more vulnerable to this push and pull dynamic.
It's definitely something to think about. Okay, what about disguising manipulation with spirituality?
Oh, yeah.
This one sounds particularly insidious.
This is where things get really tricky.
Okay.
Seducers can cloak their intentions with a veil of spirituality,
Right.
making physical pleasure seem transcendent,
Right.
like a spiritual union. They understand that people crave meaning and connection,
Yeah.
and they exploit that to deepen the seduction's impact.
So they're elevating the seduction to, like, a higher level, making
Yeah.
it seem like something more than just, like, physical attraction.
Exactly.
Can you give us an example of this strategy in action?
The story of Conchita and Don Mateo in the book illustrates this perfectly.
Okay.
She used spirituality and the promise of a deeper connection to manipulate him, creating an illusion of a spiritual bond to mask her true intentions.
It's mind-boggling how these tactics can be used to control and manipulate someone. It makes you wonder if there's a fine line between genuine spiritual connection and manipulative seduction disguised as spirituality.
Absolutely. It's crucial to be discerning
Right.
and to trust your instincts.
Right.
Pay attention to actions
That-
rather than just words.
Right.
Does the person's behavior align with their spiritual claims?
That's a great point. It's all about being aware and questioning what's beneath the surface. So we've explored these fascinating seduction strategies, but what happens after the initial conquest? What about the post-seduction phase?
That's a crucial part of the process, often
Yeah.
marked by disenchantment, that inevitable moment when the seduction spell starts to fade.
It's like the honeymoon phase is over and reality sets in.
Yeah.
So how do seducers handle this?
One tactic is reseduction.
Okay.
They use various techniques to keep the target engaged
Mm-hmm.
and prevent the relationship from falling into routine.
Okay.
Think about companies that constantly release new versions of their products
Right.
or offer exclusive deals to keep customers hooked.
So they need to keep things interesting, keep
Yeah.
the target on their toes. Do you have any historical examples of how seducers have effectively reseduced their targets?
Duke Ellington was a master of this.
Okay.
He kept former lovers enchanted with music,
Okay.
theatrical gestures,
Yeah.
and carefully crafted words,
Right.
reminding them of the magic they shared. It's like a brand using nostalgia to rekindle our love for a product.
It's fascinating how these strategies can be applied to so many areas of life. But what happens when a seducer wants to move on? How do they end the seduction?
That brings us to the art of separation,
Okay.
ending things gracefully and strategically,
Right.
leaving a lasting impression without causing too much damage.
So it's not just about getting what you want, but managing the exit gracefully, like a company discontinuing a product without alienating its customer base.
Exactly.
How do they achieve this?
They might gradually withdraw their attention,
Okay.
making the target feel like they're the one pulling away.
Oh, okay.
Or they might create a dramatic scene,
Right.
a grand finale that leaves the target with a bittersweet memory.
It's amazing how much strategy goes into every stage of the seduction process. It's a delicate dance requiring careful planning and execution. But we've covered so much ground. Do you think it's time to shift gears and look at some real-world examples?
Absolutely. Let's delve into some juicy historical examples to see these strategies in action.
I'm all for it. Let's start with the master of seduction himself, Giacomo Casanova. He was known for his charisma, his charm, and his ability to win over women from all walks of life. What strategies did he use?
Casanova was a master of creating a need.
Okay.
He knew how to make women feel emotionally vulnerable
Right.
and dependent on him.
Okay.
He often targeted women going through difficulties,
Right.
offering comfort support and a listening ear.
So he positioned himself as a rescuer, a knight in shining armor, ready to sweep them off their feet.
Exactly.
It's like a brand targeting a specific demographic with a message that resonates with their needs and desires.
Precisely. And Casanova would often create situations that made women feel indebted to him,
Okay.
whether by performing a small favor
Right.
or offering a generous gift.
Right.
This created a sense of obligation,
Right.
making it harder to resist his advances.
It's almost like he was setting a trap, carefully orchestrating events to make them more susceptible to his charms. What other techniques did he use?
He was also a master of the power of insinuation.
Okay.
He'd plant ideas in women's minds, suggesting they were destined to be together,
Right.
that their connection was special
Okay.
and faded.
So he was playing on their romantic fantasies, making them believe their relationship was more than just a fleeting affair. It reminds me of how brands use storytelling to create an emotional connection with their customers.
Exactly. Casanova understood the power of narrative.
Right.
He wasn't just offering a physical connection.
Yeah.
He was selling a story, a fantasy that women wanted to believe in.
It's fascinating how these strategies transcend time and context.
I know.
They're just as relevant today as they were centuries ago. What other examples can we explore?
Let's talk about Madame de Pompadour,
Okay.
mistress to King Louis the King of France.
Okay.
She wasn't a classic beauty,
Okay.
but she captivated the king with her wit, intelligence, and ability to keep him entertained.
So she was a charmer, using her social skills and intelligence to win his affection.
Yeah.
It's amazing how someone can wield such power without relying on conventional beauty standards.
Absolutely. She understood the king's need for novelty
Right.
and stimulation
Yeah.
and constantly reinvented herself to keep him engaged.
Right.
She was also a master of creating a need,
Okay.
making the king feel like he needed her company,
Right.
advice, and presence in his life.
It's like she became indispensable to him.
Yeah.
Not just a lover, but a
Right.
confidant
Yeah.
and trusted companion.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that seduction isn't always about physical attraction.
Right.
It can be about intellectual and emotional connection as well.
Precisely. Madame de Pompadour was a brilliant strategist who understood the psychology of power and influence.
Right.
She knew how to cater to the king's ego and make him feel like he was the center of her world.
Her story is so captivating.
I know.
It's like we're getting a glimpse into the minds of these historical figures and seeing how they use the art of seduction to achieve their goals.
And it's a reminder that these strategies and tactics are timeless.
Right.
They've been used throughout history,
Yeah.
and they continue to be effective today in all aspects of life.
It's a testament to the enduring power of understanding human psychology and using it to influence and persuade others. But let's move on to another example. What about Lord Byron, the notorious poet and heartbreaker? What strategies did he use to captivate his many lovers?
Byron was a master of creating triangles and stirring up the transgressive and taboo.
Okay.
He understood that a hint of danger and forbidden love could be incredibly seductive.
Yeah.
Especially to those who craved like a little rebellion and excitement.
So he was playing on their desire to break free from societal norms, to experience something outside the boundaries of conventionality. It's like a brand appealing to our desire for individuality and nonconformity.
Exactly. Byron's persona, with its aura of darkness, mystery, and melancholy, only added to his allure.
Right.
He would often hint at past transgressions,
Right.
fueling rumors about his life,
Yeah.
which only made him more desirable to those seeking the forbidden.
It's like he was creating a myth around himself.
Yeah.
A legend that drew people in with its promise of danger and excitement. What about his use of creating triangles? How did he play that game?
Byron was a master at evoking jealousy
Okay.
and possessiveness.
Mm-hmm.
He'd flirt with other women in front of his current lover,
Right.
or hint at past relationships,
Yeah.
making them feel like they needed to fight for his attention.
It's a classic power play, using competition to fuel desire and make the target feel even more invested in the relationship. This tactic is used everywhere, from reality TV shows to auction bidding.
You're absolutely right. Byron understood that scarcity creates value.
Right.
By making himself appear less available,
Right.
he increased his desirability.
Right. So he was preying on their vulnerabilities, making them feel like he offered an escape from the monotony of their current lives. It's almost as if he was selling a lifestyle, an experience that promised to fulfill their unmet needs.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Byron was a master at creating a need
Yeah.
and then positioning himself as the solution,
Right.
the only one who could truly understand and fulfill
Yes.
those desires.
It's a powerful combination, and it's no wonder he left a trail of broken hearts in his wake. But Byron's seductive power wasn't just about his strategies. He was also a brilliant poet, able to articulate the complexities of love and desire in a way that resonated deeply with his readers.
Absolutely. His poetry was a form of seduction in itself,
Right.
drawing readers into his world
Yeah.
and making them complicit in his romantic conquests.
Yeah.
It's like a brand using powerful imagery and language to evoke an emotional response
Yeah.
and create a lasting impression.
It's a fascinating example of how art can be used as a tool of seduction, the way of creating a connection that transcends the physical realm.
Precisely.
Mm.
And it reminds us that seduction is multifaceted,
Right.
encompassing intellectual,
Right.
emotional, and even spiritual elements.
These examples are so captivating.
I know, right?
It's like we're peering behind the curtain and seeing how these historical figures use the art of seduction to achieve their goals.
And it reinforces the idea that the strategies we've discussed are timeless.
Right.
They've been used throughout history
Yeah.
and continue to be effective today.
It's a reminder that understanding human psychology and using it ethically to connect and influence others is a powerful skill.
Exactly. But I believe we've covered a lot of ground today. Perhaps it's time for a brief pause before we delve into the final phase of seduction, the art of separation.
Okay. All right. So let's jump back into this world of seduction.
Okay.
We've covered so much ground, from the types of seducers to
Yeah.
the strategies they use.
Right.
But what happens when that initial spark fades?
Right.
What about like the art of separation?
That's where the true mastery of seduction comes in. It's about ending things gracefully
Okay.
and strategically,
Right.
leaving a lasting impression without like burning bridges.
So it's not just about the conquest, but also controlling the narrative
Yeah.
even as things are ending.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think of a skilled negotiator walking away from a deal, having achieved their goals,
Right.
but leaving the other party feeling like they also gained something.
Okay.
It's about preserving relationships and reputations.
That makes sense, yeah. But how do they actually achieve that? Like, what specific tactics do they use?
One common tactic is like the gradual withdrawal of attention,
Okay.
subtly shifting the dynamic.
Okay.
This makes the target feel like they're the one pulling away,
Right.
which protects the seducer's ego and leaves less bitterness.
So it's like almost a reverse psychology tactic, making the other person feel like they're in control,
Yeah,
when in reality, the seducer is orchestrating the entire thing.
precisely. It avoids a messy confrontation,
Right.
preserves the seducer's image,
Right.
and often leaves the door open for like a future re-engagement.
It's a clever way to maintain the upper hand. And how does this translate to other areas of life beyond just romance?
Imagine a politician gracefully bowing out of a race,
Okay.
leaving the public wanting more.
Right.
They haven't lost.
Right.
They've simply chosen to step aside,
Okay.
maintaining their image
Yeah.
and influence for future opportunities.
That's a brilliant analogy, yeah. It's all about maintaining control of the narrative, even in retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other tactics that seducers use in this separation phase?
Sometimes they opt for a more dramatic approach,
Okay.
like a grand finale
Yeah.
that leaves a lasting bittersweet memory. Think of like a theatrical exit complete with like carefully chosen words and gestures.
So they're crafting a memorable parting shot that leaves the target heartbroken but also intrigued.
Yeah,
It seems almost manipulative.
it can be. But it's often done with, like, a calculated purpose. The goal isn't necessarily to cause pain,
Right.
but to end things on a high note,
Right.
leaving a lasting impression that keeps them thinking about the seducer long after they're gone.
It's like a marketing campaign that ends with a powerful call to action, leaving the audience wanting more.
Exactly.
So in a way, the art of separation is another form of seduction in itself, right?
Exactly. Mastering the art of separation isn't just about damage control.
Right.
It can be a way to reseduce, setting the stage for a future rekindling of the flame.
It's like leaving the audience wanting a sequel. It sounds like seduction is a never-ending game.
In a way, it is. Skilled seducers are always playing the long game.
Yeah.
Strategically navigating relationships and leaving a trail of intrigue wherever they go.
Well, this deep dive has been incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing the world through a whole new lens.
Yeah.
Recognizing these patterns of seduction everywhere.
It's fascinating how these dynamics play out in all areas of life, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Once you start recognizing these patterns, you see them in marketing, politics, even everyday social interactions.
It's like we've been given a secret decoder ring to understand human behavior.
Exactly.
But what I find most intriguing is the moral ambiguity of it all.
That's the crux of the matter.
Yeah.
These techniques can be used for good or ill,
Right.
depending on the intentions of the person wielding them.
Yeah.
The key takeaway is awareness. Recognize these tactics, both when they're being used on you and when you're tempted to use them on others.
So it's not just about understanding these strategies, but also about being mindful of our own intentions and how we use this knowledge.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
Right.
And with great power comes great responsibility. Use this newfound understanding wisely. And remember that the most fulfilling connections are built on authenticity, respect, and genuine connection.
That's a great note to end on. We've explored the seductive world of Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction, uncovering the tactics, the psychology, and the timeless allure of this ancient game. Now it's your turn to go out there, observe the world, and see these dances of attraction playing out all around you.
Yeah.
But most importantly, remember to use this knowledge ethically and to always prioritize genuine connection over manipulation. Until next time.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Mindful Echoes. We truly appreciate your time and support as we explore ideas that spark thought and inspire growth. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with someone who might find it valuable. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon so you never miss a new episode. We've got plenty of exciting conversations coming your way. Your feedback means the world to us, so feel free to drop a comment below with your thoughts or suggestions for future topics. Thanks again for being part of the Mindful Echoes community, and we'll see you in the next one.